What is up, Internet Basketball Junkie? Thanks for checking out my zone offense playbook. I wanted to do a quick video just to go through the playbook, talk a little bit about what's in there. And before I do that, I wanted to go through just my thoughts on how to build a zone offense playbook. So you should be able to recognize some of the patterns that I'm talking about through this video here, and we'll jump right into it. So the first thing you want to do when you are starting out with your zone offense package is you want to choose your base zone offense concepts. So what I recommend is usually 1 to 3 of these concepts that should cover your bases against any kind of zone that you would see. So the reason I select 1 to 3 of these each season would be to have our bases covered against a 2-3 zone, a 3-2 zone, or any kind of extended trapping zone like a 1-3-1 half-court trap. So the base zone offense that you choose is usually a conceptual zone offense or a continuity zone offense. So conceptual zone offense is basically playing off of rules and spacing with pretty limited things that players have to do. Continuity zone offense is a play that does not have an endpoint to it. It's kind of like a set play that you would use, except it turns over usually when you reverse the ball. It doesn't have to be a reversal, but the play does not end. You would keep working the ball from side to side. So the reason you would want to choose either a conceptual zone offense or a continuity zone offense as your base zone offense is because these tend to be more versatile. So if we're comparing these to set plays, set plays might only work once, twice, 3 times, 4 times in a game, maybe if you're lucky. But conceptual zone offenses and continuity zone offenses tend to be you can eat more possessions in a higher volume with these plays, and they're more versatile. So you might have conceptual and continuity offenses that work against a 2-3 or a 3-2 zone, whereas some of your set plays may be much better against one zone or the other. So I'll show you here. And what we'll see in the zone playbook that you are downloading here is the 2 plays that are starred. So zone motion and corners, those are going to be the plays that are demonstrated in the playbook. And these are just examples of plays that you could pick from. So all of these plays are different plays that are in my Encyclopedia of Zone Offense. So in that document, I kind of explain and show a little bit more of all of these plays. But there's even a lot more plays in that product than there is listed on the screen. These are just some examples of plays and what I call them based on my verbiage. But we'll get a good look at zone motion and corners when we get into the playbook portion of this. But I selected for my playbook, and these are the offenses in my playbook that I've used most consistently in my coaching career. So they're definitely plays that I have a great grasp on, but I use 2 conceptual offenses to act as our base offense. So zone motion would be our base offense against a 2-3 zone and a 3-2 zone. And then corners would be our base offense against anything extended and trapping, like a 1-3-1 half-court trap or a 1-2-2 half-court trap. So between those 2 concepts, anytime we saw any kind of half-court zone, we were prepared to go against it. So we automatically defaulted into these concepts. The kids would know what to do. They know that's our base offense. They see zone. They don't have to look to me and ask what the play call is. If it's something extended and trapping, we would automatically just call out corners and the players would get to their spots. And if it was a 2-3 or a 3-2, they would automatically get into zone motion. So what might happen is if I like something out of our set plays, I might override them. They might be organizing into zone motion, and I might say, hey, I want to run Kentucky. I'd call that from the sideline, and they would organize into that. But automatically, when we would see a zone, we would get into whatever concept was applicable to the zone that we were playing against. And with the playbook that you are downloading here, zone motion would be our offense against 2-3 and 3-2 zones, and then corners would be our zone offense if we saw anything extended and trapping. So the first decision that you have to make as a coach when you're putting together a zone package is, what is kind of your base concept? What is the thing you're going to naturally flow into? Because you don't want it to be a situation where you see zone and your players are waiting on you to make a call. Certainly you could make a call if you wanted to override it, but you want them to have something to kind of naturally default into that can eat a lot of possession and kind of fits the personnel that you have on your team. So after you pick your base offense here, and it might be 1 to 3 in this example, there's 2 plays that we're talking about. You want to move into your set plays. Okay, so set plays should complement your base offense choices. I recommend 3 to 5 total set plays. So on the low end, in terms of number of plays in your playbook against zone packages, you could have maybe 4 plays. On the high end, I would recommend something like 8 or maybe 10 if you got into some zone specials, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I categorize zone set plays in 6 ways. So you're seeing them on the screen here: ball screen sets, shooter sets, overloads, lobs, duck-ins, or interior screening set plays. So in the playbook that you're downloading here, there's 6 set plays to choose from. And as you can see, we have 1 overload. That's Kentucky. It's a baseline overload play. We have 2 shooter set plays, which is Ohio and Kansas. We have 1 ball screen set, which is called Louisville. We have 1 lob play, which is called Texas, and then 1 interior screening set play, which we call Dayton. And even though duck-ins are a category, we didn't have a player that I wanted to feature inside in a duck-in situation when I was using this playbook. So we didn't select anything from the duck-in category. But what this does is it gives you a very well-rounded, a very well-balanced playbook. If you look at things this way, and general concepts between all of these different styles of plays kind of hold true. So if you're balanced in how you pick your plays, maybe having 1 ball screen, 1 shooter, 1 overload, you're compromising the zones in different ways. So there's a natural way that zones are affected by these categories of plays. And if you pick a variety in terms of themes, you're going to be able to find different weaknesses in different zones and be able to attack them in different ways. So you might be able to test a zone to see how well it handles an overload, or how well it handles your screening, or if the backline defenders are falling asleep, you can run your lob play. So variety is important because you'll be finding different ways to stress zone defenses. So I recommend 3 to 5 total set plays. There's 6 here in this playbook. So this would have been a playbook that I'm kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit in terms of how many plays we can have installed. But I like the balance that we have with this playbook, where if we're not getting enough penetration, I can call out our ball screen set, and it makes our players force themselves to try to penetrate the zone. Or if our shooters haven't gotten any looks lately against the zone, we can call one of our shooter sets and get one of our shooters a looks. And then overloads, great way to play high-low, great way to test the zone in terms of making sure they can overshift to cover up the overload when we're putting 4 players on one side of the court with their 3 defenders, or we're putting 3 players in a baseline action against their 2 players. It's just a great way to test the zone in different ways here. So moving on, the last piece of putting your zone playbook together would be incorporating any zone specials that you want. I've always kind of steered away from adding zone specials. If you want to put in a special set play to attack a half-court trap, I think this would qualify into this zone specials category. If you wanted a sideline out of bounds or a baseline out of bounds play specific for zone, you could do that. With sideline out of bounds, I really would just inbound the ball and then run one of our set plays from our playbook here. So there wasn't like a specific set play for sideline out of bounds against zones. Blobs, I would put in maybe 1 play a year that was specific to zone. And most of the time, our baseline out of bounds package just had plays in it that you could run against man-to-man or zone defense, with slight tweaks to it. So I was more confident in using the same plays with a little bit of tweak to them, as opposed to implementing something brand new specific for zone baseline out of bounds. The one thing that I would say is that if you're going to put in a baseline out of bounds play specific for zone, you want it to kind of happen right out of the alignment that you use for man-to-man. So, usually your team might recognize a zone, while they're organizing to get into their spots for the play, and then to have to shift to another alignment just creates a kind of a chaotic situation. So if your zone special baseline out of bounds comes from the same alignment, let's say you use like a 4 flat alignment or a box alignment, you want that alignment for your zone special to be the same as it would for man-to-man. All right, so that's kind of just the basics of how I would build a zone offense package. And now we'll look a little bit at the playbook that you're getting right now. So this is my zone offense package. So I've used these sets all together. I would say that for the majority of my coaching career, some of these plays or all of them all together have been our zone package. Some years I might have different personnel and I might have less, one less shooter set and add in something else. But this is kind of the core of how I would build a zone package and what it would look like specific to the plays. So this is a part of my Encyclopedia of Zone Offense product. And the Encyclopedia of Zone Offense has various features to it. If you're familiar with my products and how I present them, it's usually a lot of long form writing, very detailed and very technical. And the piece of this product that is the long form writing is the 15 laws of zone offense. It basically just goes through kind of the 15 concepts I think are most important to how to stress a zone. And then our zone offense drill progression. So these are kind of the two ways that I like to work on repping how to attack zones. So the 4-on-4 progression is a general drill where you would be working on general zone concepts with your players, and the 5v5 with constraints is a specific drill. So it's something after you've chosen your specific zone plays, you can then work on them to make them better. So the next feature of the zone offense encyclopedia here is the master playbook. So this is about 240 pages of plays. This playbook here is 15 pages. So you're getting a little sliver of the amount of plays that are in the whole encyclopedia. There's a lot more if you'd like to kind of look through them, and they're all categorized in these same fashion that I've described, with different sets that incorporate ball screening, lobs, shooter sets, duck-ins, overloads, interior screening, half-court trap set plays, and baseline out of bounds. There's a film reel in the product that's about 40 minutes, and it's just clips of the plays that are in the master playbook. So you get a chance to kind of see those in game action as teams are running them against zone defense. I did a chalk talk with Coach Matt Kramer where we talked in depth about 5 actions. And then there's these mini themed playbooks. So this is one of the 10 mini themed playbooks that's included in the product. And this is my personal zone playbook. So if you like what you're getting here with what you're reading or what you're downloading, there's 9 more themed playbooks just like it. And then there is all these other components of, a film interview, a film reel, a master playbook, a drill progression, and then a detailed writing portion. So if you're interested in that product, check that out. It's called the Encyclopedia of Zone Offense. So let's get into this playbook. Let's talk a little bit about each of these sets. I won't talk long on them, but I will just kind of firm up the concepts and then let you read about them on your own. But zone motion is the base offense that I used for about 5 years. And I liked it when I had a guard heavy lineup. So when I had a kind of an excess of ball handlers and shooters, I like to run this offense because to me, it's better than having a stationary middle. I think there's a lot more movement in zone motion than there is in like a typical 1-3-1 gap style of zone offense. So when I have the excess guards and the excess shooting, the excess passing abilities. I like to rotate players through that middle, which makes it a lot harder for the defense to keep track of. So this offense functions very well against 2-3 zone and 3-2 zone. It can eat a lot of possessions. We did use it against 1-3-1 as an option. Our main thing against 1-3-1 is what we're going to talk about next, the corners concept. But this did function for us a little bit against 1-3-1, just when we wanted to change up and we were seeing maybe a little bit more half-court trap than what we typically saw. So we like to get the ball into the middle through this offense. You know, the unpredictable spacing on the perimeter makes it kind of a little bit harder for the defense to keep track of who is where, as opposed to like a 1-3-1 gap style of zone offense where the defense can pretty much predict where players are going to be since they kind of position and then stand in those same positions. So on the outside, you have players rotating around that make it harder for the defense to find where they are. And then we always have a player kind of cycling to the middle. And what we would tell the player to do would be to pass and then cut through the defense, pass the first layer of the defense, and then come back to the ball 2 steps. So that would kind of get the player lost behind the first layer of the defense and then come back to the ball. So anytime we're getting that catch in the middle, we're looking to score it, we're looking down to the baseline, or we're looking to fan it out to the opposite side. So again, this zone motion, we could use this against 3-2 or 2-3 zone, and we could align however we wanted to. So as long as we had 4 players on the perimeter and 1 player on the inside, we didn't have to have a particular shape that we aligned in. All we would do is fill to the gaps of the defense, make our entry pass, and then from there we would go with the offense using our kind of button, hook, and look concept into the middle and then filling up from behind. The baseline player in zone motion is free to roam the baseline. If they have shooting capabilities out to the 3-point line, they could even step all the way out to the corner if that's open. But the baseline player is there to keep the back line of the defense honest. He is there to catch and finish. He's there to offensive rebound. I really like players on the baseline against zone because they can block out for inside rebounding position when shot goes up, which, you know, isn't a normal thing to do when you're on offense. And then sometimes we would let the baseline player flash to the ball, but usually that was only like if it was a specific player that we wanted to catch the ball at the high post and could read the defense from there. So that was our base concept on how we would attack 2-3 and 3-2 zones. If we saw a half-court trap, we would be getting into our corners action. So our corners action is a 2-1-2, and we're looking to shift the defense, eventually hit a corner. And when we hit a corner, then we're going to make this kind of X cut or scissor cut where we're flashing from the backside to the high post and from the high post down to the block. So this creates an overload for us, and we can really attack 3-2 zones and half-court traps with this kind of concept. But this is our go-to concept. It's a pretty standard alignment and attack for what teams would do against half-court traps, but it's going to flatten out the defense. And then you've got this cutting sequence to cut to the rim and cut to the high post. And you're really looking to play from there with those top 2 guards looking to step in to form overloads and to form triangle spacing on the backside of the play. So sometimes we would run it where we would stay spread like this, where you see 4, 3, 1, and 2 are all outside the 3-point line. And then at other times I've used where the weak side forward would kind of step into the block. And what this does is it really shortens that cut to the high post. So if you really want to get the ball to the high post to fan it out to the backside or to dump it down, you lose a little bit of that skip option to the weak side corner, but you really speed up that cut and get somebody to the high post quickly when the ball comes to the corner, which is important because a lot of teams, especially in like a 1-3-1, they are going to hot trap that corner. So when we pass it to 3, 1 and 3 would trap that pass as you see it on the diagram. So he can't sit there and hold the ball and survey for a long time. So the quicker we can get that cutter to the high post, the better, so that we could get the ball there and then really attack the defense with a high to low pass or a fan out to the weak side. This is the overload that I had mentioned earlier. When we get the ball down to 3, all right, we've got this set up where our 2 is going to step in and create a triangle. And what they want to do is be equal distance away from the 2 people that would be responsible for covering them in a zone. And that way that skip pass creates confusion where if players are unsure who's going to take that pass, we give them every opportunity to screw it up just by spacing properly here. The next concept would be our first set play. So we've covered both of the conceptual offenses in this playbook, and now we're moving on to the set plays that kind of round out the playbook. And the first one is probably my favorite zone offense set, and I call it Kentucky. It's a baseline overload set. It does require some good timing. If you execute the play with timing, it creates great shots against 2-3 and 3-2 zones here. But what we're going to do is enter that ball to the wing, come get it back on a return pass, and then we're going to run an overload sequence to the right side of the court and to the baseline. So what we teach is that 3 is going to cut, and as soon as 3 passes 4 is going to follow him, and then 5 is going to screen in. So this is a concept I call stretch, seal, and dive, where our 3 heading to the corner is going to stretch the zone wide, and then our 5 is going to seal X5, which is the seal, and then we're going to dive into the gap that creates. So what we get a lot here is if X4 doesn't come out wide enough, if he doesn't stretch, we pass the ball to the corner and we have an open shot there. If X4 does come out to the corner, which does happen quite a bit, we've got this space that we've created with this seal where we can pass the ball into the middle to 4. So 4 catches it. He's usually got like a 5-foot shot that he could catch and shoot, or take one dribble and attack the rim. So we've got the defense in quite a bit of a predicament here, but these are kind of some of the scenarios where you can pass the ball to the corner, you can pass the ball to the curl, you can even pass the ball directly to the seal. We get that every once in a while. And one of the most fun things about this set is that when the ball goes to the middle, the backside of the defense like almost always overhelps in this situation. And what we've found is that a fan out to the weak side with our guard sliding over there is open like almost every time if we can get the ball to the middle. So this is kind of just showing Kentucky against some different styles of zone and kind of a different setup, whereas the first diagram, we passed to the wing and then we got the pass back. This would be showing it the same play off of a dribble handoff, and this would be the same play off of just kind of an offset alignment where we're lining up in a stack instead of our 1-2-2 alignment that we use quite a bit. So same play, same concept, just different alignments in how we execute. The next set play here is Texas. This is my lob play. And we're going to dribble the ball over to the wing, pushing 2 down to the corner. We're going to pass the ball to 2 and then pass the ball back to 1. This flattens the defense. And what you find here a lot is that X5 and X3 they tend to turn their vision towards the ball and flatten out. So that way we can kind of sneak behind them and start setting up our screens. And our player that we pass the ball to in the corner is the person that we want to lob to. So we're going to reverse the ball back to 3 and set up our lob pocket with 4 screening across the lane and 5 stepping up to back screen X5. And 3 is in an interesting position because he doesn't want to catch the ball too far out where it makes that lob pass a lot longer. But he also doesn't want to try to catch it too close to the 3-point line because then he's going to have a lot of ball pressure while he's trying to throw a lob pass. So you want to kind of find a happy medium where 3 isn't going to be under tremendous ball pressure to be able to make this pass, but also that he's not so far out that he's making the pass longer than it needs to be. So Texas is the lob play that I prefer. And you can add in this little element where you finish the play by once 4 finishes screening, his man, he's going to screen and his man's going to try to fight through that screen to prevent the lob. So after X4 here fights through the screen, 4 is going to step up and set this flare screen. And that way 3 can read the lob. And if it's not there, he knows 4 is going to release and then set this flare screen. And while all the attention is on the lob, we can try to read that skip to the backside and get a 3. And that really takes a lot of pressure off 3 where he doesn't have to throw the lob. If he doesn't have it, there's another option built out behind the play. Next, we're going to look at Louisville. Louisville's a ball screen set. It's got this nice, fun crack screen, which I love watching teams execute. But I like having a ball screen set included in a zone package every year, because if our offense gets stagnant where we're not penetrating enough, having a ball screen set really forces the offense to penetrate the zone. So anytime that I'm noticing, we've settled for outside shots or we're standing and looking too much in our zone offense, then I'm looking to call Louisville, where we can enter the ball space away. We're going to side ball screen. Coming off that side ball screen, we're trying to engage the next player in the zone, and this is going to create our one more situation. So 2 passes to 1, and 1 has X4 in this one more situation where he's reading to catch and shoot, or he's reading if X4 commits too hard to 1, 1 can then swing it to the corner for a shot. But while all that's happening, our ball screener is rolling to the strong side of the court. And while that's happening, our 5-man is stepping in and sealing on X5. So this kind of creates a situation where 4 can kind of just cut off of the seal of 5 and catch the ball for a wide open layup. I like this set because X3 here, as you see in the diagram, is guarding air after that ball screen. There's really no one for him to cover. So unless he's playing with a tremendous amount of awareness, he's not going to be contributing to the defensive effort in any way, shape, or form, which allows us to have this number situation on the backside with the engage and then to the one more opportunity. Next is our shooter sets. So early on in my coaching career, I had a lot of good shooters and not as much of an inside game. And then later on in my coaching career, I've been fortunate to have better big guys and less guard play. I've enjoyed both situations, but when I had better guards and better shooters, I like to have a couple zone sets specifically for our shooters. And you might think that zones give up a lot of outside shots anyway, so what's the point of having shooter sets? But kind of the point is that you want to be able to set up a specific shot for a specific player. So even though there might be more 3-point attempts in general against zones, you still want to get your best shooter the shot that he wants, and you do that through setting it up in these actions. The kind of plays that I like against zones really play off the natural tendency of zones to load to the ball. And when zones load to the ball, then you can do things like you're seeing in this play where we can skip it to the backside and screen off the backside of the play. And then the next play is called Indiana, which we'll look at in a second, is kind of a flare screen, which again, the zone loads to the ball. You're going to set your screens up behind it and then throw over top of the zone to get your shooter a look here. So Ohio is a dribble push entry. So we're pushing 2 to the weak side corner. We're going to reverse through the 4 flashing and then finish the double reverse to 3. And while all that's happening, 5 is kind of flattening out to the baseline and setting up his screen. And one of the keys here is when 3 catches the ball, he wants to fake the ball to the corner. So that's the interesting thing is we've got this dribble push entry right here that sends 2 to the corner. So it really looks like we're flowing action this to this side of the court. So when 3 catches it, if he ball fakes to 2, that really kind of just eases the defense and maybe even shifts them another half step over towards that side of the court, which gives us kind of a better angle and better spacing to skip it to the backside. And this play is going to work great against 3-2 zone. The screening angle just gets a little bit better against 3-2 zone, but you want to make sure this passes to the deep corner against a 3-2 zone because X2 is in position to close it off too if you catch it too high to the wing here. So Indiana I talked about a little bit, but again, this is we're going to use a dribble entry, but instead of pushing all the way through to the corner, we're going to loop it to the top of the key. And while that's happening, we're rearranging our big guys by flashing 5 to the ball side, and then we're going to run 4 with the ball. So as we're double reversing, 4 is going to follow the ball, and these players have interchanged positions from where they started. But then we're looking to set up our double flare screen on the backside. And what we're looking to do is skip it over top of the defense for 2. So, if I have a point guard that can shoot and a 2 shooting guard that can shoot, I've got Ohio and Indiana, and they both are producing the type of 3-point shots that we're looking for against zone defenses. And both of them work well against 3-2 and 2-3 zones. Dayton is going to be, I think, the last set that we'll talk about here. And Dayton is an interior screening set. So You want to have interior screening sets, particularly when you have big guys that can catch the ball in the paint and finish it. And interior screening sets are different from duck-in sets, where duck-in sets, you're kind of looking for a post isolation where it's a one-on-one. With a interior screening sets, you're looking to screen the zone for a guy to catch it near the rim, and not necessarily in a basket, back to the basket situation, but kind of a catch and finish in traffic type of situation. So we're starting out of a 1-3-1 alignment. We're using a wing entry and a return pass back. While that's happening, we're setting up our double stack spacing that you see over here. And we're going to run 2 off of the stack screen to catch the ball in the corner. And when we do that, we're looking to double screen across to bring our 5-man to the basket. So our low player in the stack 3 is going to screen all the way across the lane to screen the backside of the zone. And then our high player in the stack is looking to screen the middle of the zone or screen up in the zone. So what you're looking at on the left here is against a 2-3 zone. And then on the right, you're looking at a 3-2 zone. So against a 2-3 zone, it's pretty clear cut. We can screen X5. Against a 3-2 zone, it really depends on how that 3-2 zone is being taught into how the zone is going to shift. But if that player number 4 in the 4 spot here screens up and finds a body, it's going to go far to take us to having a nice advantage to catch the ball in through the rim. So that's the zone playbook that you received. I hope that helps these concepts sink in a little bit better. And just remember, this is a small sliver of information that would be available in the Encyclopedia of Zone Offense, where there's detailed writing, drills, a large playbook, a film reel, interviews on zone offense, and many playbooks to kind of get you started in your journey of building out your dream zone offense package. All right, basketball junkies, appreciate your time. If you've made it to the end of this video, if you haven't been to my basketball store, I have detailed and technical guides to teaching the game of basketball. If you like my style of teaching, which tends to be a lot of long form, technical and detailed guides, I think you'll love the products available on there. All right, thanks for breaking down this film with me.